7:38, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Along with Johnny B, Jay Harper. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. So Phil Williams over at Channel 5, he is going after Americans for Prosperity. Full disclosure, as you know, my friend Pamela Furr works there, and also they advertise on the radio station. But beyond that, I have no affiliation with Americans for Prosperity. But I do find this whole thing interesting, where Phil Williams is going after, basically Americans for Prosperity for lobbying, which is perfectly legal. And I'm trying to figure out what the angle here is with Channel 5. Coming after this Tori Venable, who appeared on the Murphy Show yesterday. I've got more on that in a minute. But lobbyists do what lobbyists do, and organizations do what they're going to do. And Williams from Channel 5, he is going after AFP for just doing their job. And so it's all about the battle between state legislator Todd Warner, and he's against Governor Lee's school bill, and she and AFP, they're for it. And so this is now turned into a big deal. But there's this idea or this accusation that AFP is out there threatening lawmakers. And so Phil Williams caught up with Tori Venable at the state capitol, where she was attending a committee vote on the legislation. And here is some of that audio.
Republican Representative Todd Warner from Marshall County has found himself facing pressure from Americans for Prosperity, even though he says he promised his constituents he would not vote for vouchers.
And I give those teachers my word back then, those school administrators and parents, that I would not take money, support any legislation that may take money from our public school system. And I'm going to stand on my word.
Have you threatened members?
Not threatened. No, that's not my style. But sometimes people think I'm a little bossy, and, it doesn't always come off as the best look for me.
Can I just say this? I don't know Tori Venable. I think I've met her once or twice. But, most people, when they encounter Phil Williams, it is a big oh crap moment, because you don't know what you're going to encounter. Tori clearly does not give a crap about Phil Williams or his report. She just doesn't. And I believe the reason why she doesn't is because there's nothing here in this report. So Todd Warner says that he cannot vote for the bill. He's in it for the teachers. He made promises to the community. And, I would say that as far as Todd Warner and what he wants to vote for, which is against school choice, he's a Republican in a rural county, and they don't have a lot of options. They don't have private school options. I have actually no problem at all with that reason to be against school choice. They're in the 92nd district, because that is the reality of the district. And if Warner made those promises, okay, well then fine. He made those promises, and that's how he's going to vote. But the point is that you've got Phil Williams trying to make a big deal out of the fact that you've got Americans for Prosperity, a lobbying organization, trying to, and I'm air quoting here, pressure and threaten these lawmakers. Well, here's the deal. There's nothing wrong with being assertive as far as Tori Venable goes. There's nothing wrong with being assertive in your beliefs. That is, and lobbying is a big part of politics. But then there's the actual accusation of threats. And here's what it sounded like.
Where you were talking to Americans for Prosperity, and someone who was in the room with you recorded it. Can I play that for you?
Yeah, sure, Phil.
We're going all in on this. I can't protect you if you ain't on the right side of this.
Do what?
I said I can't protect you if you're not on the right side of this.
Well, I'm not going to be for it, so I hope you don't come after me. And that was a threat.
You did take that as a threat.
I did. Absolutely take it as a threat.
Well, again, welcome to politics. Tori Venable was on the Murphy Show, and she said that really was more like a factual statement when she said,
I said I can't protect you if you're not on the right side of this.
I mean, I understand what she's saying. In other words, the whole point of lobbying organizations is that they lobby for the issues that they care about. And here in Tennessee, clearly school choice has been a very big conversation. And so if Americans for Prosperity, they're backing Governor Lee's school choice program, and if they have also in the past backed Todd Warner, well, now they have a disagreement. So when she says, I can't protect you, basically what that means is you're on your own. I mean, we're not going to donate to your political campaigns anymore. You may actually be primaried, because the goal of a lobbyist organization or an activist organization, whatever you want to call AFP, the bottom line is they're in it for policy. They're in it for legislation. And as far as this report from Phil Williams goes, and I respect Phil Williams, there's no there. It just feels like a stretch. That's all I'm saying. And she's obviously saying, Tori Venable is obviously saying that Americans for Prosperity and other groups, they donate money to politicians who vote for and advocate for shared values and views and beliefs. If Todd Warner doesn't vote for school choice, then he won't be getting any donations from Americans for Prosperity. That's just the way politics and lobbying works, friends. No laws have been broken. That's why I'm so confused about where this whole story from Phil is going. You know, they talk about marketing campaigns against Warner in his district over his decision to not support school choice. Well, again, that's part of the politics that's going on here. I mean, let's face it, it is a nasty business and one that I could never do. But then again, they get into this business of the evil billionaires. Here's part of that.
You have billionaires behind you. Does that not skew the process?
I mean,
you have the Koch network. Come on.
Come on. You've got the Koch network. Come on, Tori. Start bashing the Koch brothers. They're evil because they worked hard, became entrepreneurs, and made billions of dollars. And according to some, that makes the Koch brothers evil. And I'll say the same thing that I said in the 5 o'clock hour. So if we're going to be fair and balanced, if Phil Williams is going to be fair and balanced, if you're going to go after the Koch brothers, then you need to also investigate George Soros. Because if you'd like to talk about which of those two, the Koch brothers or George Soros, putting their billions of dollars into American politics, which side has actually caused more destruction here in America? The Koch brothers or George Soros and his family? Absolutely, it's George Soros. I mean, the Koch brothers, the evil Koch brothers, right? I want you to think about this. The evil Koch brothers.
That Koch network.
They have the audacity to want parents to have choice in schools. But George Soros is putting, I would say, corrupt district attorneys in cities that are soft on crime. And what that has done, as you folks know, because you listen to Nashville's Morning News and WTN, that has caused the actual destruction of great American cities. So nobody really cares about what I think, but I would think that Phil Williams, again, if you want to be fair and you want to start besmirching billionaires who are putting billions in politics, that's fine. Talk about the Koch brothers. That's fair. But also talk about and go after and investigate the impact of George Soros and his billions into local politics as well. Going over some of the relevant audio from this report, Phil Williams going after Americans for Prosperity and really taking the side of Todd Warner, a District 42 state rep, who is saying that he is being bullied by Americans for Prosperity. And we're at the part in the report that Phil Williams did where he is sort of chiding Tori Venable with Americans for Prosperity because of the the evil billionaire Koch brothers.
You have billionaires behind you. Does that not skew the process?
I mean,
you have the Koch network. Come on.
I mean, I also have lots of Tennessee donors.
But you have billionaires behind you.
Well, I mean,
does that not skew the process?
Good ideas get funded and bad ideas don't. I don't know what to tell you about that.
Americans for Prosperity. They're backed by the Koch brothers network.
Billionaires.
Billionaires.
So when you don't vote with Americans for Prosperity, you're risking billionaires coming after you.
It is definitely big money trying to control government. That is what, I mean, that's the best way I can explain it.
All right. So my question is, and maybe somebody can find out for me, but I would ask Todd Warner, state rep. So how much money have you taken from those billionaires? Did Tori Venable and Americans for Prosperity donate to Todd Warner and his campaign when everybody was on the same side? That would be my question, because Warner can't sit here and say, the dang billionaires, right? When you've got a disagreement, because it perhaps is part of the story that he actually took money from those same evil billionaires. It's just a question. And yeah, the right does have the Koch brothers. They supported, by the way, the Koch brothers supported Nikki Haley. They are actually never Trumpers. And the left does have George Soros. But, Soros, as you know, is all about chaos and, again, soft on crime DAs and no borders. But one of the things that they're talking about is, will they actively work to primary Todd Warner? Now, if you folks don't know what primarying means, it means that they're going to find somebody to run against you if they don't like your policies or if they don't like that you voted against a certain policy. But again, that is all, I hate to say it, part of politics today. And yeah, they're saying that there are billionaires behind this, but as Tori Venable said, and I'm not trying to do a puff piece on Americans for Prosperity, I very much disagreed with the national effort to bring Nikki Haley into the White House. I disagreed with that, but I just think that I'm trying to. Anybody here try to juggle Jello? John, you ever try to juggle Jello? When I watch Phil's piece, I'm trying to figure out, it's like juggling Jello. I'm trying to find the handle. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and two, I'd like to, because he tries to tie the Republican Party with billionaires. Mm-hmm. I hate to inform him, but look at how much money is behind the Democrat Party these days.
Yep, you're absolutely right, Johnny. Williams asked Warner if he felt leadership was impeding his promise to vote his conscience with what he told the people back in District 42, which is that he would support the teachers in the public schools and not vote for Governor Lee's school choice program.
You are voting the way you think your district wants you to vote.
Yes, sir.
Do you feel like Speaker Sexton and Republican leadership is standing with you?
Wait for it, because this is actually the best part of the whole thing.
Well, let me tell you, Phil, I'm not leadership's and I didn't come down here to vote for leadership. I came down here to represent the people of the 92nd District and the people of this great state. I'm not going to fall to my knees to stand for leadership. I'm not going to do it.
So, in case you missed that,
I'm not leadership's
There you go. I'm not leadership's There you go. Todd Warner. Tough talk. District 42. And again, I don't care how he votes. I understand when he says we don't have private schools in my district, or at least not enough of them to, be able to have people go to whatever school they want. They don't have the school structure or infrastructure to be able to do that. And so he does see it as defunding the public schools for his county. Okay, whatever. I mean, that's how he feels. And I may disagree with him, but I understand his position.
Yeah, but just don't play the victim like you are.
No, exactly. Don't play the victim. And by the way, the story did end like this. Listen to this.
Back to Tori Venable. She didn't want to seem to admit that having all these very wealthy people in groups kind of use unlimited money to try to get their way, that either side, it's just bad for our system, right?
Yeah, her rather simplistic solution was, well, it's just up to the other side to find the big money to finance their ideas.
And there's a lot of big money out there.
There's a tremendous amount.
Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, Phil. And somebody please tell me, What law was broken?
Well, I didn't hear a threat either. That's not a
No,
threat.
I did that. That's so dumb.
It
that
is
wasn't a
dumb.
threat. And as Tori Venable said, and again, I'm not sticking up for Tori. I'm just calling this as I see it. I don't want people to think that I'm pandering to AFP, because I'm certainly not. But there wasn't a threat. It was more, as Tori Venable said, it's really a fact. I mean, we can't support you if you're going to vote against our values. So within all of these accusations, Murphy Show had Tori Venable on his show yesterday. And she basically is saying, listen, Todd Warner, District 92, he had to have been the one that gave Phil Williams that phone call that was taped between Tori and Todd Warner. And so poor Murphy Show, he's trying to figure all this out. And so he's trying to get a timeline down so that, he can figure out, okay, so when did the phone call happen? What was said? Who recorded it? And all of those other things. And so I thought it was fascinating as this whole thing was playing out, and I was watching it. I thought that it was really funny. The main point of the phone call, the main soundbite that they pulled from the phone call between Venable and Todd Warner was this audio bite where she says this.
I said I can't protect you if you're not on the right side of this.
All right, and again, we've covered this ground many times this morning. She basically says, yeah, that wasn't a threat. That was basically a fact. I mean, it was a promise. If you're not going to vote for school choice, then we're going to basically no longer support you, which is understandable. If you're lobbying organizations and one of the big things that you want is school choice, you're not going to fund the guy that voted against what you want. I mean, it's common sense, folks, right? So Tori says that this phone call happened in March, about a week and a half ago, right? Warner calls in to the Murphy Show, denied that he was the one who gave the recording to Phil Williams. And then he said he didn't know how the recording happened, but if it did, it was back in December. He says not only did he not give the recording to Phil Williams, but that it was actually a call, again, made back in December. And that he didn't even know he was being recorded at the time. Can I just tell you, if you haven't heard the whole thing, you've got to go back and listen or watch it. This is the moment where it really went south for District 92 state lawmaker Todd Warner.
So you're saying that you had a telephone call with Tori Venable, and that telephone call was recorded unbeknownst to you. Is that, you're on the record for that?
I'm on the record saying I was threatened by Tori Venable and by
did you hear that? I mean, he's like, so Murphy is trying to get him on the record and say that it was not you that sent this to Phil Williams. And he just, I mean, that silence tells it all.
So you're saying that you had a telephone call with Tori Venable, and that telephone call was recorded unbeknownst to you. Is that, you're on the record for that?
I'm on the record saying I was threatened by Tori Venable.
No, sir. My question to you, were you aware of a recording happening at the time that you had the conversation presented by Phil Williams on News Channel 5?
There was a lot going on. There was a lot going on.
There's a lot going on, guys.
There's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
A lot going on, I don't know.
Man,
I like on the record. Whenever he said on the record, it was like, oh, my God.
Oh, man, you could drive a semi through that dead air. As you said, Jay, humming.
I mean, Matt he's got another job as a prosecuting attorney, man.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's like Matt was just laser focused on this. And he just, Warner was not ready for it. And I think part of the problem is clearly, I believe, that it was Warner who gave Phil Williams the tape, or someone gave Phil Williams the tape, and Warner has, plausible deniability, because he says that he didn't give Phil Williams the tape. And then Murphy said, do you know who gave Phil Williams the tape? And he says, no. Let me play the rest of this audio.
You're crawdadding, Representative. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this. I'm not trying to challenge you. I'm not trying to argue with you. I'm trying to get to the facts. I'm asking you to tell the truth. Were you aware? Were you aware that you were being recorded?
I'm not 100% sure what was going on.
Oh,
there was so much, I was surprised by the threatening that I was receiving.
All right, so there you go.
The threatening that
he was
there was
receiving.
So much going on.
So much going on.
What I thought was interesting, Dan, is when Phil Williams said, "Hey, I got this recording, sir. Can I play it?" And he goes, "Yeah, sure." But if he didn't really know what was on there, wouldn't you think most people would go, "Well, wait, or am I going to be ambushed here? What's on this recording?"
Right.
Rather than just automatically saying, "Yeah, go ahead,
sure,
play
let it roll."
Yeah, this whole thing was a setup. I mean, obviously, Williams gets the tape. Don't know where he got it from, but he gets the tape, and Williams knows what Warner is going to say. I mean, this whole thing seems incredibly orchestrated. And I don't know. I don't know where Williams stands. Phil Williams stands on the whole school choice thing. Have no idea. But I still don't understand the point of the story. I still, to this moment, don't understand the point of this accusation that Americans for Prosperity is threatening. Because, that's where Warner wanted to go. It was all about how they're threatening him.
They didn't threaten him. They were just letting him know what they do as an organization like they are.
Yeah.
They're not going to back you if you're not going to back the legislation that they are trying to
That's exactly
back
it.
themselves. Yeah. That's politics.
Billionaires.
Those billionaires.
I would put up with all of the hatred on the left if I could be a millionaire. Not even a billionaire, but a millionaire.
Oh, sure.
Because, the left doesn't like people. There's the interesting thing about the left, right? And I'm not saying that Warner's a leftist or anything like that. He's a conservative. And by the way, final thing I'm going to say on this real quick is that if he is truly voting his conscience, which I believe that Warner is, I don't think he was smart to call into, Murphy's show. And I also don't believe if he gave Phil Williams the tape and the whole premise of this is they're bullying me and that's the entirety of the report. The whole thing just seems dumb. But here's the thing, is that if he truly wants to vote his conscience, then vote your conscience. If that's what you told the people in your district, then fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And here's the other thing, is that if Warner is voting his conscience and this is what the people of his district want because it's a smaller rural district and they don't have the private schools that the bigger cities have, well, then the people, regardless of the onslaught of ads that will be paid for by your primary opponent, the people will know that you had their back in District 42, regardless of the amount that your future opponent will have paid for advertising. If you voted for the people of your district, then it doesn't matter how much advertising they have paid for by Americans for Prosperity. The people will have your back. I mean, that's what I would say. Am I wrong on that?
No.
I don't think so either.
And the question that Murphy asked was a simple yes or no question. There wasn't I don't know. There's so much going. Come on, you would know if you're being recorded.
If there were 4 or 5 people, and by the way, he said this whole thing happened at his house, and he says the thing happened in December. Tori Venable says this happened in March. But the point is that if you knew, I always know when unless I don't, but I typically know if I'm being recorded. And if there is a handful of people at the house and at his house, and he's got Tori Venable on speakerphone, and you've got a bunch of like-minded people around you, and you feel like you're being bullied, hey, everybody, I'm going to record this. And it's going to be recorded. There's probably an understanding where we're going to get Tori on tape, then we're going to send it to Phil Williams, and then Phil Williams is going to report this, and then there will be all of this pressure on Americans for Prosperity, and they'll be exposed. Okay, whatever. I think I'm done with this story.